Another American Civil War. It's a good thing. So, I haven't been around for a while. Not for a long time. In fact, it's been over a year since you've heard from me. It's been over a year since anybody's heard from me. In fact, nobody's even seen me, and I haven't even seen myself because I broke all the mirrors in my house. And when you break all the mirrors, you can kind of see yourself, but you see different weird reflections, and it looks like you just did some album art where the faces of all the rock stars look kind of broken up because the shards of glass are all different. And also, let me tell you, you cannot shave with shards of glass. It hurts. Now, lately, with the whole border crisis thing we got going on, you know, in Texas, and how they're shipping migrants up to New York City and to Chicago, and then people in Chicago and New York City are complaining because it was okay when, you know, it was happening in Texas, but it's not okay when, you know, it happens to the people who wanted it to happen because now it's happening to them. So you know how that works. You know why it works that way, because, you know, it's a government. And the government is fine, especially like localized governments, are okay when other people aren't doing well, as long as they're doing fine. So what they'll say is, hey, look at that person breaking the law. Now, I'll give sanctuary to people who break the law because they're probably good-hearted people. And then they go, how come you're sending them to my house? Well, because you said you do that. And that confuses lots of people. There's talk now of a civil war, possibly, and a new American Civil War. You know, it really kind of reached its peak about a week or two ago. And I've been mulling it over, like, do I want to come out of retirement to talk about this? And then I decided, yes, I fucking do. Well, anyway, the governor of Texas is like, you know, we're going to stop this. We're gonna build the wall, put other stuff up, to, you know, so the migrants can't come in. And then, you know, what was happening is the president is like, you can't do that. That's not a good thing. So we're going to stop you from doing that. But the problem is 25 governors have agreed to side with Texas. That means 25 states, because every state has one governor. So what happens then is now you got 50 states, and half of them, 25, are siding with Texas. And the other half are siding with the federal government. Now, I understand this can happen. You know, we got a constitution. It's a right for people not to always get along. I understand that. But here's the thing that I'm kind of looking at, and people don't understand what the government's doing. See, the government, because of how the government is, they're going to do whatever they can to divide us, right? And even the president made a comment about maybe bombing people with F-16s. And I saw a lot of comments on, like, you know, Twitter and the YouTube stuff and the TikTokers. And some of the people actually want a civil war. And the reason they want a civil war is they don't like their neighbors. Because maybe the neighbors are loud and they're playing their rock and roll with the windows up and the speakers at the windows. So they kind of want their neighbors to get bombed, like with a 500-pound bomb. And the best thing about bombing your neighbor with a 500-pound bomb is you live right next door. So your house blows up too. You can't drop a 500-pound bomb that goes boom to your next door neighbor without you going boom as well. But the great thing, you may be dead, but your neighbor's dead as well. So it's a win-win situation. The funny thing about the people who are like, all right, you can't go up against the federal government because the federal government, you know, they got nuclear weapons. And of course, just like with the 500-pound bomb, you know, like the winds will blow all that radiation over to your house too. So even if you're not in the blast center, you're in trouble. So the whole idea of, you know, oh, you rah, 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 we're going to get rid of our neighbors is kind of silly. But it gets even worse. You ready for this? So check this out. So they're like, oh, you're going against the federal government and we should blow you up. But the problem is a state like New York imports 85% of their food. That's right. New York needs 85% of the food trucked in from other states. So 25 governors, which is 50% of the states, and completely half of 50, you know, because 50 divided by 25 is 2, and that would be half. Yes, that would be half. Or is that time out? Anyway, so what happens is if New York, which is like a state like New York, they have to import like 85% of the food. That's right. See, so they will need those trucks keep coming in. The problem is if the trucks don't come in, what would a place like New York City do? I mean, there's no farmland on Times Square and food does not grow in the supermarket. But one of the good things when you run out of food is you can then eat your neighbors. That's right, because your neighbors are alive and humans are made of meat. That's right. Humans are made of delicious, delicious meat. So you can eat your neighbor. And the good thing about your neighbor being made of meat is the fact you get a lot of protein. And then your neighbor also has bones. Boom, now you got your calcium. That's right. So what you want to do is you want to grind up your neighbor's bones. And then what you do is you put it in some water. And then you boil it if you happen to still have gas and electricity. All right, and make sure you get the bone marrow. You want the bone marrow. Bone marrow is the sweetest part. And you put all that together, you got a bone broth soup, and I like to call that the neighbor's delight. You can also fry up an arm or a thigh. See, there are many options here with eating your neighbors when you run out of food because of the Civil War. That's the benefit of it, because you probably got lots of neighbors. Like, there are millions and millions of people in New York. That's millions and millions of people you can eat. At least the ones who are still alive who haven't starved to death. But, you know, if you don't mind roadkill, you can eat them too. But anyway, I digress. So what you want to do is, you want to take the neighbor, you could fry up a thigh, you could fry up a leg, you could fry up, you know, a pectoral muscle or something like that. And the best part about that is, I hear that we taste like chicken. That must mean the skin is the best part. Now, eventually, you won't have any neighbors to eat because you'll run out of neighbors. And at that point, you'll start starving. But that's all right, because now you get to drop some of that excess weight you gained from eating your neighbor who lives above you, who kept playing their music too loud. Now, someone might say, how are you going to protect yourself? Do you own a gun? I do not own a gun. In fact, the last time I even fired a .22 rifle was about 35 years ago, and I only did it once. So they're like, well, how are you going to protect yourself then? Well, it's very simple. See, I have a wooden spoon. That's right. And when I was a boy and I acted up, my mama, who was Italian, used to beat my ass with a wooden spoon. And if a wooden spoon is good enough for my ass, it's good enough for my neighbor's ass or anybody who tries to harm me. And the other thing is, this one's not very big. So what if I'm dealing with somebody with a fat ass? I use a bigger wooden spoon. That's right. I also think we got the bestest president right now for a civil war. We absolutely do. See, not only is Joe Biden our president, but he's got dementia. And not only does he have dementia, he's got the best dementia. He's got the kind of dementia that when he walks into a room, he doesn't know where he is, but at least he knows he's in a room. So this is all my advice, or some of it at least. I'm sure I could have prepared more for this, but again, I haven't done it in a year, so forgive me. But anyway, I love you all. You've been a dynamite audience. You deserve to give yourselves a round of applause. Let's go!